Hello, welcome back to another exciting episode here in the Little Rapids basement. So this is going to be part 2 of our seed starting series or episode, I guess. Just pro tip, if you use paint markers to label, which you should label your trays somehow, make sure you let it dry before you start putting your soil mixture in, because last video, part 1, the reason why there is a part 2 here is because I didn't do that, and I started putting the soil in and the labels just rubbed away. So of course that is problematic in a 72 cell tray. So that's your pro tip of the day. But I hope all is well. We are actually a week later. So, you know, life happens, and that's okay. There's no perfect science to gardening. There's windows, but you know, they're relatively large windows, so we're gonna be okay. So if you remember, we got our soil mixture here. This is the peat moss mixture. I will be looking at, right now they're kind of jumbled over here to my left under the grow lights of cocoa and peat. But I'm going to separate them all out to their respective trays, and then we're going to take a look at who wins. Is there a winner? Is there not a winner? Versus, you know, cocoa core seed starting mix versus the peat moss. I don't know. Just looking at them, I don't really see any discernible difference. I'd show you, but I have this camera on like a little tripod thing, so I don't really want to mess with that yet. But we will take a look. So first things first, let's fill this tray. Now again, this tray is for what I did was an inventory, and I encourage everyone to do this. This is something that I haven't done in the past, and the result of that is you end up not growing some things that you want to grow in your garden because you missed this step. You planted them, you planted the seed, for whatever reason they didn't come up, and you don't do an inventory, and everything starts, you know, keeps growing. Next thing you know, you're up potting, and you're like, wait a minute, like I don't have any mushroom red peppers, and that's a problem. So we are going to fill these trays with those that did not do well, and we are going to seed a little bit extra. So, all right, roll up the sleeves. And again, so what we're going to do here is we are going to, the soil is moist but not wet. That feeling of, people say it's a feeling of like a like almost like a damp sponge, is pretty accurate. And I'm just going to, hopefully my new camera angle and system is working. It's not a lot of budget for the show, so you make with what we have. Okay, so I'm just getting them all. Inevitably, when you do this, the corners are always the ones that have the least amount. So you want to be aware of that as you're filling. See how this one is pretty light. I'm not pushing down right now. I am just spreading across, letting the soil kind of fall in the holes in the cells. until I got something like this. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to take 2 fingers and push down lightly, just because I don't want any air pockets, but I also don't want to compress the soil too much, because we want to keep this light and airy for the seeds so the roots can go down and spread out and do the thing. But we don't want it so loose that there's gaps where there's pockets of air, because that is no good. There's no water, moisture can get there, and it'll just dry out, and you will not have a good plug. So I did that, so hopefully you can see it did drop down a little bit. So then I'm going to come back through here with a little bit more soil and do another spread, and this time I am not going to push down. This is just going to, that ensures that the top part is super loose, and I'm just going to smear it around. And in the end, I know I'm good when I want to be able to see my letters, my labels. So I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of this. And that's it. So we are ready to plant. Move this out of the way. Try to keep a relatively clean work area. All right, now this is our map. We're gonna get some shadows, but whatever you use, just do something, because you're gonna have to know what you are planting. So I'm gonna put that up there so I know I have all my packets ready to go. And are my packets in order? Let's see here. Red pear, beefsteak, tomato, peppers, habaneros. Alright, I think they're just backwards. Alright, like I said, we're going to do some heavy seeding. And when I say heavy, we're not going... Listen, we're not getting crazy here. Alright, habaneros are first. Let me just, I'm going to pause you for a second because my seed packets are not in order. I encourage you to do that before you get started. It's almost like if you like to cook, it's like cooking a recipe. You can kind of get ingredients one at a time, but it's so much easier, it's so much cleaner, it's so much better if you prep all your ingredients beforehand. So you have, you know, your little bowl of diced peppers, you know, garlic, everything's ready to go. So when you're ready to actually cook, it's all there. So I'm going to pause the video real quick. I'm going to just put these in order. I'll be back in a flash. All right, I'm back. Seeds are in order, ready to go. Now you're going to want to, you need a hole maker. So you can use all sorts of different things. I'm going to use a pencil, but they have like official tools. Like this is almost like it's called a dibber. But for this purpose, pencil works great. And now what I've done before is on the trays over here, just put, let me see where I can, one little hole, boom, and I put seed in and I cover it up. We are going to do a couple different seeds, probably about 3 seeds per cell. So again, heavy seeding because we want this to germinate we want these to germinate. So I'm going to do like a 2 holes, almost like diagonal, like here and here. And I'm going to drop probably 2 seeds in each. So maybe 4 seeds. Because we really want this to go. And if we're having issues with germination, the seeds could be just getting a little aged, and it's probably time for new seeds anyways. So the last thing I want to do is carry these issues over to next year. And that's where, like, doing these videos, as much as I care about my viewers, this is really for me, so I can look back, reflect on and over the winter, and see what went well, what didn't go well. So, all right, I'm gonna stop yapping and then get to planting. Okay, so that's it for that seed packet. And like for this one, I have 5 seeds. So we're just going to plant 5 seeds. So 1 in each hole, and then we have an extra, which I'll put there in that hole. And then you do a little cover up. And that's it. It's planted. On to the next. Just following along, haven't ever read. And I'm not going to have a video of me doing this entire tray. You also want to look at your seeds too. See how like this one's all, I don't know, that one's probably not going to make it. So put extras in that one. But you want to take your time. This is relaxing. Should be relaxing. Okay, so that's done there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest. And I'll come back to you. Alright, and with the magic of pause, we are back. So, we completed the filling of the seeds in the trays here. And you can see over here, these are all packets that we emptied. So, that was good. It's good to keep the rotation going. It's good to have a nice lot of seed packets, but you don't want to. You want to keep a good rotation. All right, so we are going to. Another pro tip: move your seed packets away from this area because it's all about the water now. So the soil mixture is not wet, it's a little damp, but we need to do a couple things. The first is, let's move this so this doesn't get wet. We have a spray bottle. Okay, just your typical spray bottle, just water, and we're going to spray the tops. The reason we do this is because we want that water contact with the soil on the top, so we don't have that hydrophobic. We want it to collect the moisture. This also helps pack down, not pack down, but eliminate some of those possible air pockets. And most importantly, it gets that soil around that seed with some moisture so it can germinate. That's one of the keys in seed starting, that you can do everything right, And if you do one thing wrong, you're done. And that one thing, well, I guess there's a couple things, but the main thing is to let the tops of your soil cells dry out. If they dry out, the seed dies. And no plant, which is no good. We're also going to be putting this tray on a heat mat. And the heat mat is good for germination, especially for like peppers and tomatoes. It really helps boost that germination growth. However, it does also dry out the soil. So we're going to be putting a humidity dome on top. And there is controversy. Some people say use them. Some people say don't use them. So we'll get into that in a minute. But for right now, what I'm going to do is, here I have a tray and I have it about halfway filled up with water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them in. You always want to bottom water your seedlings. You never want to, like we just sprayed water on top. That's cool for now. But once they sprout, you don't want to put water on the top, because that can bring chaos a couple of different ways. One is you can get like a rot around the stem of the plant because it's just moisture there and the plant will die. It also encourages bugs. They don't like it, the dry tops. So that's the kind of key for bottom watering. And it's hard to overwater. A lot of people will overwater their plants. They suffocate them with love, literally, and that's no good. So bottom watering, the soil is going to soak up, the plant's going to soak up what it wants, and that's it. So it's not going to be sitting in water too long. I'll probably leave this go, I don't know, 10 minutes. Just again, no real rules on this one. You don't want to leave it in there for hours, but you also want to give it time to, think about it. There's these little, let me show you. So on the bottom of these, there's these little holes, little slots. So the water is getting wicked up. And it takes a little bit. Usually what you can tell, like when we have the actual plants and we're doing this, you can tell when we're done, when you can start seeing the tops of the soil get dark. That's how you know when it's kind of done. Here we just sprayed the tops, so the tops are already dark, so we don't have that. So again, just like 10 minutes ish. And weight is another way to tell if your cells are dry or they have moisture. There's a bunch of different ways. Weight is one of those that once you start doing this for a little bit, you can pick up a tray and know if it needs water or not. So it doesn't take that long to get that skill, but it does take a little bit. Probably a season, and you'll have that mastered. What do we want to do? Let's take you off this little stand. I'm going to take you over here and I'm going to show you our seedlings. So again, this video, if you watch the last part one, we're a week later. Okay. So here we are. I'm sure there's a big difference between just a week. You can tell what the plants are now. These are clearly peppers. These are tomatoes. And then we have like a mix, because it depended on, again, we have the heat mats, but once they start sprouting, you want to take them off the heat mats, because that will just create cause them stress, and you don't want to stress them out. But you can see this one, this is the heat mat I still have on. The last one I have on. There's a heat mat here, but it's not plugged in. Because this tray has cells that did not germinate. Like you can see this one, this 6 cell has one little guy poking out. Looks like this guy died for some reason. But you'll get to a point where you have to make it. Oh, look at this guy. Okay. See how there's 2 here? You don't want to. You just pinch that off. You could try to transplant it. I've done that before. But I think because you want to save all the plants. But I've gotten to the point where I am able to kill some plants. It takes time to get to that point. Trust me. Alright. So this is kind of like the loser tray. And that's why we're doing what we're doing today. Because whatever this was in this cell is clearly not coming up. And it's probably a plant that we want. So that's why we're doing round 2. But for the most part, again, I tried to put just 1 seed in each tray. And you can see that for the most part, they had some really good germination. Some will make it, some won't. Like, I don't know what's going on here. This guy's kind of like buried. We'll kind of try to help him. But I never feel like I plant enough. But think about it. There's 72 plants here. So let's just, we'll call it, 72, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 trays. Do the math. If they all grew, it's a lot of plants. Even if 75% of them grew, still a lot of plants. All right, let's take you back here. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's definitely, you can tell it's, let me put you back up here. It's definitely moist to the point where I'm going to take them out. I'm going to put them back in the tray. Okay, and the humidity dome. Let's grab one of them. So this is a humidity dome. Essentially, it's just a plastic cover. These have vents, if you want to vent, but this just sits right on top. And what it does is it contains the moisture. It almost creates like a little rainforest effect. Especially with the heat from the heat mat coming up, the moisture hits the top, so you'll see droplets collecting on top. You just kind of tap it and it kind of sprinkles back down. That helps with keeping your cells moist, especially the tops. Now I will go in daily. I'll take the tray off. I'll get my spray bottle and I'll go in and kind of do a spray just to make sure that everything is staying damp on the top. And we'll kind of follow along. What we'll do is I'll try to keep the video to follow this tray. I'll show you the other trays as we go, but this, I guess, series from this very early stages, we'll be following along. So we'll see how long it takes for things to sprout. As they sprout, we'll follow along when it's time to take the humidity dome off, when it's time to take it off the heat mat, as they grow, thinning them out if needed, up potting. So really the beginning through planting in the garden, harvesting. That's kind of the goal this year, is to take you along that entire journey. And hopefully, if you're watching this and you want to do this, you learn something. I am far from a master gardener. It is, it's definitely a humbling hobby, because any gardener that says they have it figured out is lying to you. It is I make mistakes every year, and I learn every year, and that's the only way to grow. So if you mess up, don't feel bad. Everyone messes up. I mess up all the time. Just hedge your bets, and something will grow for you. So I'm going to put this over on the heat mat, and that's going to be it. So hopefully you found this helpful. Comment below if you did, or if you want to, if I can answer any questions for you, or if you want me to show you anything that I haven't showed you. I'd be more than happy to. Yeah. Hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I will see you in a little bit.